Hey YouTube, happy Halloween! It's me, Brandon Smith. Sorry you haven't seen me in a while, but I figured, why don't I review a movie for Halloween? Now I'd like to get three things out of the way. Number one, this is completely unscripted, so I'm saying things that are on my mind. Number two, this is in the attic, by the way, because I figured Halloween might want to be spooky. And what's spookier than an attic? And number three, this is a vlog style review, so there is no clips of the movie or anything like that. It's just me sitting in front of the camera and talking. So, what movie am I reviewing? None other than the animated DC movie, The Batman vs. Dracula. So, first off, let me talk about The Batman, the show. Now, I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so I apologize if I get some facts wrong. But anyway, The Batman. Basically Batman the Animated Series, The Adventures of Batman and Robin, the Justice League cartoon, Batman Beyond, they were all done. And by the way, the four of those, they are amazing shows. I recommend you watch them whenever you can. So, basically, Warner Brothers decided to make a new cartoon. And it was in the early 2000s. And this cartoon was none other than The Batman. What do I think of it? It's okay for a Batman cartoon. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's definitely not the worst portrayal of Batman. Cough, Batman vs. Superman, cough. So basically, it's not the worst Batman thing, but it's definitely not the best. The animation is pretty good. The music, I don't know. And the voice acting, well, the acting itself is okay, but the voice actors are not who I would ever choose to voice the characters. So anyway, why don't I get started on the movie? Batman vs. Dracula. Now first off, this isn't the first time Batman has fought against vampires before. He's done so in a few comic books. So, I'm gonna assume this is the first one where he does it in a feature film. So basically the film begins where basically it sets up the tone of vampires with some violin music. It's supposed to set up the tone, I assume. And besides, it's a good way to start the tone. Because, I mean, what's the first thing you think of when you think vampires? Okay, when it comes to music. And it's not a pipe organ. It's a violin. So the film begins in Arkham Asylum, where some random prisoner is making a deal with the Penguin, saying that if the Penguin helps him escape, then he will split a treasure that he hidden inside a graveyard. But when Penguin agrees, the prisoner says that he told someone else about this. And who did he tell? None other than the Joker, who's already escaped. And Batman knows about this because of some kind of thing where he sets up surveillance cameras around the city. Kind of like in The Dark Knight, where basically that one scene where Lucius Fox finds out that Batman has this room with a bunch of TVs, and the TVs are actually surveillance cameras of the whole city. But in The Dark Knight, Batman was told that it was wrong to do that, but in the show, The Batman, he just does it anyway because, well, he's Batman. Now, when it comes to the Joker, I'm gonna be frank. It's my least favorite version of the Joker. I'm not even gonna lie. It is my least favorite. First off, he doesn't even look human. And that's the big thing about the Joker that's supposed to be creepy about him. The fact that he is a human that went insane and this messed up. So to make him like this where he looks like a monster, that just ruins him. And his hair is like supposed to look like a jester's hat, I think, which is okay, but I prefer his more combed backwards kind of look. And also he doesn't wear shoes, and that just annoys me. Plain and simple, it just annoys me. Why did they choose to do that? That just... whatever. So anyway, also the Penguin. The Penguin is okay. He's just okay because, for one thing, he's a martial artist. Because why not? In this version of the show. And in this version of the show, they tried to make him look more Danny DeVito's Penguin, to where he looks like a monster with sharp teeth and his whole fingers thing. And also they got Tom Kenny to voice him. And overall, he makes bad puns a lot. And I'm sorry, Tom Kenny, but as the Penguin, you sound too much like SpongeBob. I mean, I love SpongeBob, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he should be voicing the Penguin. So basically, the Penguin finds the Joker, because the Penguin escaped too, and he said that he already knows the location of this treasure, and threatens the Joker with his knife umbrella, saying that if we split the reward, I'll help you, or something. But anyway, Batman shows up, and a fight scene ensues. Because of course there is. And the Joker escapes by jumping into the Gotham River, but he realized he forgot to turn off his joy buzzer, and when he falls in the water, he gets zapped, presumably to death. Shocking. But anyway, Penguin escapes the little struggle and goes to the graveyard. And in the graveyard, he automatically assumes where the treasure is. And so he goes in and opens up this random coffin. And when he does, he accidentally cuts himself on the blade of his umbrella and bleeds on the corpse inside the coffin. And what is the corpse? Well, it's the shriveled up remains of Dracula. Man, when things go wrong, they go wrong. So the Penguin is understandably terrified of this thing and tries to run away, and bumps into a security guard who gets the blood sucked out of him by Dracula. And Dracula tries to get Penguin to be his servant, but Penguin says he's got higher standards than that. He's not going to be a servant of a vampire. But Dracula hypnotizes him. And he goes, "I'm Penguin, I'll be a server." So yeah, the Penguin's the servant of Dracula now. And Dracula tries to figure out what went wrong and why he's not in Transylvania. And he shows a very brief flashback to where basically the Transylvanians killed him with a wooden stake to the heart and sent his remains away to well, they don't know where. They just shipped it off in the river, off to the ocean. And that is a good plan, I might add. That is a good plan. And centuries later, he's awakened in Gotham City. So basically, the next couple... Okay, I don't really know how long it's been. A couple days, couple weeks, maybe even a couple hours, but basically we cut to Bruce Wayne, who's on a date with Vicky Vale. And the day goes well until he has to run away to play Batman. And so he meets Alfred, who watches the news and sees that apparently some civilians have disappeared, being lost ones. And they seem to think that the Penguin is involved because, of course, I mean, who else would it be? I'm serious. Who else would they think it'd be? Definitely not the Joker. Speaking of which, Batman is actually kind of remorseful of the Joker. He even says, "I've already lost Joker. I'm not going to lose anyone else." So basically, he knows that even though the Joker is evil, he has to value all human life. Alfred asks how the day went, and Bruce simply says, "Short, but sweet." So Batman goes out on a night patrol and runs into some of the lost ones who have become vampires, and he barely escapes with his life. And then afterwards, there is a ball at Wayne Manor in which, unlike the show where they show all kinds of raves, they actually have a real ball with fancy tuxedos and classical music. That's the kind of parties that Bruce Wayne should do. And Dracula, who managed to find a vampire getup, decides to crash the party. And I'm wondering, don't vampires need to be invited in? Whatever. So anyway, he comes in, Bruce Wayne sees him, asks who he is, and he says, "Alucard. Dr. Alucard." And in case you're wondering, yes, that is the name of the vampire from Son of Dracula, and also the name of the main vampire character in Hellsing, which, by the way, is a great anime I recommend. But anyway, so Alucard introduces himself as a traveler from Eastern Europe. Notice how he doesn't say Transylvania, because he probably doesn't even know if Transylvania even exists anymore. So he just says Eastern Europe. Kind of smart. So he asks about some of the machines that Bruce Wayne has designed, and Bruce shows off this machine that basically stores sunlight in order to better solar energy. I think that's how he said it. And because Dracula knows that this is going to bite him in the ass later, he hypnotizes Bruce and tries to get him to jump off the balcony. But Alfred stops him. Bruce tries chasing this stranger, only to see that he's disappeared and sees a bat flying away. And he's suspicious, and he grabs a platter from a waiter. A platter is basically a large metal plate. And he grabs a tube of red lipstick, because why not? And he writes Alucard on the platter and shows it in the mirror, and it spells out Dracula. Because I don't know. He just needed some way to visually show that he knows that Alucard is Dracula. So basically he goes out on night patrol, sees a few of the lost ones, and then he meets Dracula on top of a roof. And Dracula proposes that they work together. Batman refuses, and they fight, and Batman gets his ass handed to him on a silver plate. But the morning sun comes up, and Dracula has to retreat. And Bruce comes home to something shocking on the news. Basically, Basically, this guy says that he saw a large image of a bat, and so they conclude that Batman was responsible for the whole thing. So not only does Batman have to stop Dracula, but he also has to clear his own name. Mask of the Phantasm. Sorry, I had to. It's pretty much the same plot as Mask of the Phantasm. But anyway, the next night, Penguin wakes up Dracula, but he bumps into the Joker, who seems to be alive. In which he points out that a fisherman got the Joker tangled up in his net. And that's how the Joker got back to shore. And I don't know if this is an intentional reference to the 1989 Batman movie or not, but he says, "Who knew electroshock therapy could be so invigorating?" In which if you remember in the 89 movie, the Joker says, "I've been dead once already. It's very liberating." So basically, the Joker finds Dracula's coffin, wonders what's inside, and Dracula yanks him in by the collar and turns him into a vampire. But unlike the other vampires, the Joker still has his free will, and so he goes to a blood bank. And once inside, the Joker just pretty much grabs all the vials of blood and just goes to town. And which I wonder why more vampires don't do that. So basically, Batman comes in and captures him after an incredibly awesome fight scene that ends with the Joker being completely showered in blood. And then Batman puts on some kind of bomb on his fist and punches Joker. Kind of similar to the end of Batman Arkham Asylum, to where Batman punches the Joker in the face with a bomb attached to his fist. So he gets Joker back to the Batcave and does tests and experiments on him to come up with a cure. And so he cures Joker of being a vampire and demands to know where Dracula was. Joker tells him, and Batman finds that Dracula is trying to resurrect his cremated wife. And how does he do that? By kidnapping Vicky Vale and trying to replace her soul with the soul of his wife. And so Batman goes in all geared up with vampire cures and cures every single lost one on the way down to the cave to where Vicky's soul is being sucked out. And apparently he's a fan of the Mythbusters by throwing a bomb at the soul cleansing machine. And basically Vicky is saved. And Vicky runs away and is chased by the Penguin while Batman gets Dracula to chase him into the Batcave, because apparently the Batcave is connected to this other cave, but whatever. So, and there's a Shining reference, because Penguin corners Vicky into this one grave area and says, "Here's Ozzy." Yeah, Shining reference. Because every little kid who's watching this movie has seen The Shining. So, I don't really remember what happens after that. Of course Vicky escapes, but I don't know the details. Basically, I'm just going to assume she set up a trap for the Penguin and escaped. But that doesn't matter. Batman versus Dracula. Basically, Batman lures Dracula into the Batcave to where he uses the sun energy containing machine to blast sunlight onto Dracula. Dracula asks, "Who are you? Wait, Bruce Wayne?" And so, just to look cool, Batman, like, holds up his cape to show off a bat shadow and says, "I'm the Batman, and you're dust." Jumps out of the way so that the sunlight can just wail on Dracula. And so he shrivels up into ashes, and Batman just kicks him, and Dracula just scatters into pieces. And that's how you properly say, "I'm Batman." So later on the news basically says that all the lost ones are discovered, and the Penguin has been blamed for the whole crisis, and Batman's name is cleared up. Basically, that's the quick and easy way to show off that everything's pretty much back to normal, and the movie ends, and I really wish the bat signal was here, because the bat signal would have really ended the movie really well. Whew! So that's The Batman versus Dracula. And I really recommend you watch this movie. Yes, it may be kind of silly, a concept like Batman fighting a vampire, Dracula no less. But hey, the story was written very well. It's definitely written a lot better than a couple of the episodes of the show that I've seen. Like I said, I haven't seen the show in a long time, but from what I remember, it was definitely, the standards were a lot lower than the animated series. So, this movie, on the other hand, is a lot better. It is great. The animation is superb. The music, while it still has the metal guitar music that was from the show, it also has some violin music to fit the vampire setting. And the voice acting was pretty okay, too. So basically, if you can find this movie, please watch it. I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's the end of my first review. I want you to tell me what you think. Tell me if I should do some things different. Just give me some tips. I'm really interested in how you feel about me doing reviews, and should I continue doing vlog-style reviews? Just please give me your input. Just be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good jazz. And yeah, till next time, happy Halloween.